Hi, my name is Amanda Pennington, and today we're going to be talking about Chapter 8, Lesson 1, 6 questions. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Chapter 8 is going to go over algebraic reasoning, graphing, and connections with geometry. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with number 1. So just before we get started with number 1, we're going to have 4 sections, A, B, C, and D, and they're all going to go within the same rules and what we need to do for that one. It says, draw a graph for each of the following scenarios and explain why your graph corresponds to the scenario. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first one wants to know about the amount of gas in a gas tank when a driver drives across country. So right now, we're going to say that the driver has 400 liters in the tank. He just filled up at the gas station, so he hasn't went any miles. So the first coordinate is going to be 0 and 400. Then we're going to say every 0.8 liters to 1 mile he's going to use in gas. So at 100 kilometers, we know with our equation 0.8 liters over kilometers times 100 kilometers. So those kilometers are going to exit out, and 0.8 times 100 equals 80. Since that's how much it was spent for the 100 kilometers, we're going to minus that from 400 and get 320. And you can see those coordinates plotted on the graph. Our x-axis is going to be distance, and our y is going to be the fuel. Okay, our second one wants to talk about the function of the height of an elevator stopping at each floor on the way up. So we're going to say that a typical floor is going to be 15 feet high from the ground to the ceiling, and so with that, every time the floor goes up, we're going to have 15 feet added. So our x values are going to be the levels of floor, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to graph those. So our equation is going to be y equals x plus 15. So 0 times 15 is going to be 0 because everything times itself is 0. And that's going to be where we're starting at the ground level. The first floor that we're going to go to is going to be 15, or 1. So 1 times 15 equals 15, 2 times 15 equals 30, and 3 times 15 is 45. So we plotted those coordinates, and you can tell that our line is going to go straight up and to the right, giving us the amount, and the height is going to grow, and the floors are going to grow as it grows as well. So here's that one. Then it wants us to talk about the function of the height of a bouncing ball dropped from the table. So when we drop a ball from a table, we know that it usually bounces highest and then goes low, 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 and then it kind of dribbles out or rolls over or something. So we're going to say that our table is going to be 36 inches high that we're sitting at. And I'm going to drop my ball, and it's going to bounce 1, 2, 3 times, and that's going to be it. So we have an equation y equals negative 9x plus 45. So y equals negative 9 parentheses 1 or plus 45 equals 36. Negative 9 times 2 plus 45 is 27, and negative 9 times 3 plus 45 is 18. So on our last third dribble, or the bounce, is going to be 18 inches that it was at its height. Okay, and so we can see from our graph that our points, this is our first graph, and it's slowly going down because it's not getting that much momentum and energy to do that. So our x values is going to be the amount that's bounced, and our y is going to be the height. All right, next we're going to look at the shadow of a flagpole throughout the day. And my time frame for this is going to be from noon to 4 p.m. So my x values are going to be 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and 4 p.m. And we're going to say that the shadow we're going to do for our y is going to be 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and things on. So we're going to plug that in. So our equation is y equals 5x. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. And 5 times 4 equals 20. That means at 4 p.m. it was 20 feet high for the shadow, for the length. So you can see the coordinates right here. That's put on here, and they're slowly going up. So there's this one. Now 2, it wants us to talk for 2. We're going to use f of x equals 3x, and g of x is going to equal x plus 8. So our question is g of x, or g of f of x but our x is going to be 0 this time. So 3 times 0 equals 0, and 0 plus 8 equals 8. And we're done. G equals 3 times 1 equals 3, and 3 plus 8 equals 11. Then we're going to have 3 times 2 equals 6, and 6 plus 8 equals 14. Now we're going to have 3. So 3 times 3 equals 9, and 9 plus 8 equals 17. Now we're going to go through 3. And it says, show and explain the slopes of the line segments determined by the given pairs of points. In each case, tell whether the segment is vertical or is horizontal, slopes upward to the right, or slopes downward to the right. And so we got 2 coordinates. So automatically, we're going to use a formula called that says y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so our P, our first point, is going to be our x1 and y1, and our second point, Q, is going to be our x2, y2. So we're going to plug those in. So 5 minus 1 equals 4, and 5 minus 3 equals 2. So 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2, giving us a slope of 2. So we're going to plot those 2 graphs, or coordinates, and we see that it's growing upward to the right. So that's going to be our slope. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing. R is going to be our x1, y1, and S is going to be our x2, y2. So we plug those in. Negative 8 minus 8 equals negative 16, and 5 minus 5 equals 0. The slope is a negative 16, and the line segment is undefined by those points. We know that when we look, we're seeing that these 2 graph points cannot go that way. So that line segment is undefined by that. Okay, then for our third one, we have U. It's going to be negative 1, negative 4, and V is negative 4, negative 13. We're going to plug those coordinates in. So negative 13 minus 4 equals negative 9, and negative 4 minus negative 1 equals negative 3. Negative 9 divided by negative 3 equals 3. The slope is a positive 3, and this line segment is going to go up to the right. Okay, now we're going to go to number 4. Show and explain the graph each of the following functions and describe the similarities and differences in relationships between the graphs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph each 4A, 4B, and 4C, and then at the end of it, I'm going to have a slideshow or a slide picture of it being all 3 of them on there together, so we can look at that closer. Now for each of those, we're going to have the same x values, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So we're going to go ahead and plug those in. So for our first one, we have the equation y equals x2. We plug those in, we get negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 2 or is 1, and 2 squared is 4. So those points are plotted on the graph, and we can see that. Okay, and so like I said, we're going to graph all 3 of them at the very end after we solve them. Okay, so y equals x2 plus 7. Negative 2 squared plus 7 equals 11. Negative 1 squared plus 7 is 9. 0 squared plus 7 equals 7. 1 squared plus 7 is 8. And 2 squared plus 7 is 11. So we went ahead and graphed that, and we can see where that's at. And so, like I said, we're going to save that. Y equals x squared minus 7 for this last equation. Same x values. So y equals negative 2 squared minus 7, which gives us negative 3. Negative 1 squared minus 7 is negative 7. 0 squared minus 7 is negative 8. 1 squared minus 7 is negative 6. And 2 squared minus 7 is negative 3. And so we plotted that as well. So this is going to be what they all look like together. And we can see how that connection is made through those all. And they're all labeled. So 4A, 4B, and 4C. And so let's go on to number 5. So with this, it says, show and explain the equation of the line through the given point that is perpendicular to the given line. The slope of the perpendicular line is a negative reciprocal of the slope of the given line if the given line is neither vertical nor horizontal. So we have y equals negative 3/4 x plus 5, and coordinate point r 6, 1, or negative 1. Okay? So looking at that, we know the equation y equals mx plus b. The m is always going to be our slope. So our slope is negative 3/4. But we know that we're going to have to do the reciprocal of that. So that means that we're going to have to change the sign. positive or negative, and we're going to have to flip the denominator with the numerator. So the slope will now become 4/3, a positive 4/3. Then we're going to take our equation y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So this is where we're going to use that coordinate point, 6, -1/r. So we're going to plug those in and use the new slope 4/3. So y minus -1 equals 4/3 parentheses x minus 6. So we're going to do 4/3 times x and 4/3 minus 6 and add on each side. And that gives us y equals 4/3 x minus 9. And that's our answer. Okay? And then we have 2y plus 9x minus 5 equals 0. And s is going to be our graphic coordinate of 0, 3. So we know that we need to get y by itself. It has to be by itself for us to solve, to get our slope. So we're going to keep the 2y, and we're going to move the positive 9x minus 5 to the opposite side of the equal sign. So we're going to have to change all those signs. So that positive 9 becomes a negative, and that minus 5 becomes a positive 5. So we got 2y equals -9x plus 5 now. Now we're going to have to get y by itself. So to do that, we're going to have to divide on both sides. So our equation becomes y equals -9/2x plus 5, 2. So the slope is a -9, 2. Like I said, we had to do the reciprocal. We got to flip them, the denominator, numerator, and then we got to change the sign. So we got 2 9s now. We're going to use that equation y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. We're going to plug that in with the coordinate. Y minus 3 equals 2 9s parentheses x minus 0, and then add 3 on both sides. And we get y equals 2 9x plus 3. Now we got 6. So for A, so someone explain the equation of the line that is tangent to the circle of radius 9 at 0 point -9 and whose center is at the origin. Okay? So we're going to use an equation that right here, y minus d equals parentheses a minus c over d minus b parentheses in parentheses x minus c. The center is given at 0, 0, and so the circle points are 0, -9. When we plug that in, all the zeros will cancel out, and that x will cancel out as well since it has no value, and we're going to get y equals -9. Okay? So now we got radius 9 at 0, +9. So we're going to use the same formula. And so all that's going to cancel out, and we'll get y minus 9 equals 0. So we got to get y by itself. So we add 9 to both sides, and y equals 9. And this is a comparison graph of what we have for 0, +9 and 0, -9 for the coordinates. So the both lines are the same slope, and the two lines are parallel, which you can see from the graph of the highlighted green that I drew. And that is going to be the end of my show. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you today about the 6 questions for Chapter 8, Lesson 1, and have a very blessed day. Thank you.